Okay, this is day 2 for real numbers, and I'm pretty sure most of this is going to be a review. It's just a matter of remembering certain words or processes. So let's take a look. Okay, this is signed decimal multiplication. Obviously, you can plug this into a calculator, so I'm pretty sure that this is supposed to be calculator free. I want to just remind you of how to do this by hand, because I'm pretty sure y'all can push buttons in a calculator. Okay, multiplied by 0, 0, 1. Okay, when you multiply this, you multiply going up and over, right? So 7, 6, 3, 7. That's the 1. You don't need to do the 0 zeros because that doesn't make any sense. It's all going to be 0. All you need to do is count the number of decimal places that you have in both numbers. So this is 1, and this is 1, 2, 3. So altogether that's 4. So you're going to start here, and you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is your answer. It's 0.7367. Okay, let's look at the second problem. Second problem is negative 6.4 times negative 0.4. Okay, negative times a negative is going to be a positive. Oh, wow. You guys, I forgot about that negative back there. Woo! Let's make sure we don't forget that negative. Always go back and double check, I suppose. Okay, here we go. So you're going to multiply 16, 4 times 4 is 16, carry the 1, 24 plus 1, 25. You've got 1 decimal place here, 1 here, so it means 2, so you're going to count twice. So it's 2.56 is the answer. That's a reminder of how you do it by hand. All right, this is division. So again, 884.5 divided by, wow, let's try that again. Sorry. Pay attention to where I'm writing. Here we go. Negative 100. So first of all, the answer is going to be negative because a positive divided by negative is negative. Anytime the signs are different, it's going to be negative, right? When you're multiplying or dividing. Anyway, so we are going to go in divide by 100. Now 100 goes into 800 8 times. Okay, 800, subtract 84. All right. Bring down the 5. We can just leave this here for now. You could also simplify by moving this over 1 and adding a 0. And in fact, you know what? Let's do that just because that's typically the way we do this. Okay. Typically back when I'll go back even further. Let's see. Okay. Typically the way you do decimals is you're like, okay, I'll move this one over 1 and I can add a 0 here. So now you're dividing 1,000 into that. Now you could have done it the way I was doing it before. I just want to show you that's a typical way to do it. 1,000 goes into 8,000. Sorry, I need to move this over. It doesn't go into 800. It goes into 8,000 8 times. Get 8,000. And of course, there's a much shorter way to do this. You add a decimal, add a 0, bring it down. 8,000. Add another 0, you get 450, bring down that 0, it's 4,000, 4,000, add another 0, you get 5,000, and you get 8.845. All right, whenever you divide by factor of 10, there's 2 zeros. If you know the fast way, you would literally just move it over twice. Okay, if you have 8 times 1,000, and if you ever forget directions, like which direction am I supposed to move it? Oh my God, I don't remember. Just think of something easy, like 8 times 1,000. What's the answer? 8,000. What did you do? You started with a decimal point and you moved it over 1, 2, 3. So with multiplication, you move to the right, the number of zeros. All right, with division, you move to the left. So it's 884.5 divided by 100, negative, is going to be negative, and you just move it over twice. 8, whoa, gotta look, 8.845. Quick way, quick and easy if you remember, slow way if you don't know if you don't remember, you can always just use basic math. Sometimes when people forget the tricks, they forget that basic math actually works. Okay, let's take a look. This is 22.4. It's negative. Yes, I know it's negative. I'm just going to know that it's negative divided by a positive, so the answer is going to be a negative, okay? So we're dividing it by 4. There's a decimal. I could move it over, make this 40. I don't think it makes it any easier. I'm just going to leave the decimal where it is. 4 goes into 25 times. This is just long division, reminding you of your long division facts. 5.6. And there you go. If you're looking for how to do this and you forgot, you can look up long division, and that will help you. Division. Wow. Okay. Here we go. Again, this is stuff I think that you are not supposed to be doing on the computer. So this says negative, oh man, tell you what, this is a common problem. Take a look. This 2 belongs to this 8. That negative means it means this little negative here means take the opposite of 8 squared, because 8 is the base of the 2. So the answer here is the negative of 8 times 8. That's how it really is thought about, negative 64. This is testing you of whether you understand the difference between negative 8 squared or negative 8 squared. Negative 8 squared, this is the base of the 2. This means negative 8 times negative 8, which is a positive 64. This is a negative 64 because the base of the 2 is the 8, just like here. Okay, take a look at the next one. Okay, it's take the opposite of negative 2 cubed. Well, the base of the 3 is a negative 2. That means take the opposite of negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. That is negative of negative times negative times negative is a negative. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. 8. Positive 8 is the answer. Okay. I'm pretty sure the property they want you to know is that when you have A over B, as in a fraction, A stands for number, B stands for number, to a variable, let's call this variable M. That is going to be equal A to the M over B to the M. In other words, you basically multiply these two. This is 1 to the 1 to the 1. Okay, you're going to multiply those. All right. That's what it's getting at. Again, you can always write what it means. This means take, I'm going to write it the long way and then I'm going to show you the short way. For those of you that are still understanding or working with what exponents mean, that's what that really means. It means 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. Don't forget to multiply fractions. You multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. So 1 over 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8 times 2 is 16. Negative 1/16. Okay, on this side, this is going to be negative 3/4 times negative 3/4. Notice the negative is inside. That makes a difference. This whole thing is the base of 2. So this is going to be positive. Negative times negative is a positive 9/16. Okay, the fast way to do this is to simply go 1 to the 4th is 1. 2 to the 4th is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. I always tell kids to hold up the number of fingers as the exponent. So if this is your hand, it's your thumb, that's hold up. And as you count them, you multiply 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. It kind of helps. Fingers kind of help sometimes. Okay, and you will get 16. Okay, this one means do 3 squared, which is 9, over 4 squared, which is 16. And negative squared is positive. And here, this is negative on the outside. Okay, just be careful. Make sure you're thinking these through. All right, this is PEMDAS. 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 Let's talk about PEMDAS. PEMDAS means it says parentheses, but really it just means grouping symbols. Grouping symbols. I think somebody actually created a new acronym with a G instead. But you know what? PEMDAS is old school and it's like everybody knows it, so keep it. So it means all the grouping symbols. You do those first. If you can do anything inside, you do it. Then you take your exponents. Then you do multiplication, division in left to right order. You can't just do it randomly. It has to be left to right as you encounter it. And addition and subtraction as you encounter it. That's the last. All right, so taking a look at this, first of all, okay, you see we have exponent here and exponent here. Okay, this actually isn't a grouping symbol. I don't know if you can tell that, but it's not. There's nothing inside it except for one number. The only reason this parentheses exists is to separate the negative out so you can see it. So really, oh, by the way, one of my best pieces of advice for you is to read it out loud. If you're ever struggling, read it out loud. It's 2 times. Do you hear the multiplication? 2 times -4 plus. This will be the last thing you do. That plus is the last thing. Plus the quantity. That's how you read that. The quantity. 1 minus -3 squared. Hear yourself say squared. Quantity squared. So we're going to start here. This is the beginning. This is a grouping symbol. We got to do what's inside. Order of operations inside. We can't do minus until we do the exponent. So we're going to go. And by the way, I recommend you don't. I know that you can multiply these because there's a plus sign there. And the plus sign is almost like, I think of it like as a barrier. Like you can't do anything with the plus or minus signs generally until the very end. So I know you can multiply this because multiplication comes before addition. So -8 plus, open parentheses, 1 minus, we're doing order of operations. What is -3 times -3? That's what that says. The base of the 2 is -3. -3 times -3, I could write it out, but I'm not going to. I'm going to just tell you it's 9. Close parentheses square. Now, I don't need to put a parentheses around a +9, correct? So I can erase those, and now I have that problem. 1 minus 9. I do what's inside the grouping symbol. This is the P part, inside the grouping. So -8 plus 1 minus 9 is -8 squared. Now, after we did the grouping symbol, now we can do the exponents. That's -8 plus -8 times -8 is a +64. And -8 plus 64 is a 56. And that is the answer. If you're having trouble with these, always, go back to the very beginning, work from the inside of the grouping symbols out. And if you make a mistake, most likely it's going to come from something that looks like this. Number one most common mistake is something that looks like this. Everybody will do great, and then they'll do this. They'll go 6, like they're just so anxious to add those together. You can't do addition until the end, so this is completely wrong. You have to do this first, then this, then multiply, then add. Adding is last. Adding and subtracting, last. Moving on. Evaluate the expression. Okay, you're going to get a bunch of these now. You're just evaluating. So all you're doing is plugging in. It says x is this. This is what you plug in. Now, it's tricky because it says x squared minus 7x plus 6. You need to plug in x squared. Do not write this. This is incorrect. I challenge you to figure out why it's incorrect. Why is it incorrect? Answer it before you move on in the video. Why is that incorrect? And the reason why is because this is the base of the exponent. You must plug in the whole number as the base of the exponent. Put it in parentheses. It means -3 times -3. Okay, continuing. Minus 7 times -3 plus 6. It just helps if you when you're substituting, a good trick is just to put parentheses around your x. Even if you're substituting in a positive number sometimes, it just it'll help you. But definitely with a negative. So you get -3 times -3, which is 9 plus 21. You can multiply these two out. exponents, multiplication, plus 6. See, these addition things, they keep things apart. But now you can go left to right. It's all addition, so it doesn't really matter. You get 30, 36. Boom. 36 is your answer. Moving on. All right, now we're going to head into the properties of real numbers. Now, the reason why you guys don't remember these, or I should say have trouble with these, is you don't remember them. The trick is learning words, learning vocabulary. Commute. Commute is a word in English. Commute means to move back and forth. If you move, like you can commute to work, that means you drive to work. It usually indicates a longer drive than like normal, but you know what? Commute just means you move to work and back. Okay. Associative. Think about associative as who you associate with, and you put parentheses around these groups. Associative always has to deal with parentheses. Distribute means like you go and you distribute this to that person, that person, that person, that person, that person. Distribute has that sort of sense of like reaching out one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. You can distribute cookies to children, ice cream to, I don't know why I'm thinking of kids. I'm like thinking of like, maybe I want ice cream. I don't know. The next one is identity property. What that means is what you start with is what you end with. Take a look. You start with A, you add a 0, and guess what? Ooh, you get A. You start with A, you multiply by 1, and you get A. Ooh, this is the identity property of 0, by the way. This is the identity property of this is the identity property of addition, because you add 0. The identity property of multiplication is when you multiply by 1. Okay, this is addition, multiplication. These are properties that happen in both. So look, commutative property, look what happened. We commute, we go back and forth. Look what happened. The A switched with the B. A switched with the B. Associative property has to do with parentheses. Look, what happened? Just ask yourself, if you're trying to figure out what's going on, just ask yourself, what happened? I always think like the Sesame Street song, one of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. Take a look. What did they change? They changed the parentheses from here to here. Look, read the order of the letters. Do not say commutative. They didn't move. A, B, C, A, B, C. No order change. Only the parentheses changed. For some reason, that's one of the ones that kids miss often. ABC, ABC. Nothing changed except the parentheses and its multiplication. This is addition. Distributive property. Woo! All right. I feel like that one's like so common. You get that once you see it. Inverse property. The inverse property is something that you are going to be doing to a number to get a unique, another unique number. So take a look. If I take A and I add negative A, I get 0. That's of addition. If I multiply by the inverse, I get 1. That's of multiplication. This is probably the most difficult to remember, and why. The inverse property. This is adding the inverse, and this is multiplying by the inverse. All right, so now you're going to be asked questions. Let's take a look. Which property? Okay, check the order. Here goes. 9y6, 9y6. Ooh, what did they do? Oh, look, they only changed the parentheses. Therefore, this is the associative property of what? Is it of addition or multiplication? Ooh, see the little addition signs? It's of addition. I know it actually says that here, but whatever, you guys. I just want you to know, like, you're not going to always be given addition. This one, look, x plus its inverse. This is the inverse property of addition. This one, what happened? Read the order. 2 plus A plus 2. Ooh, they changed the order. They commuted the numbers and letters. So that is commutative. Not commutative. We're not communicating. That's not what we're doing. We are commuting. There is no N in this. It is commutative. Say it to yourself, commutative, commutative. Okay, moving on. Take a look at this one. Choose the property of real numbers. B times 1 equals B. Oh, look. He identifies as B, multiplies himself by 1, and look, he's still B. All right, so this is the identity property. You can always go back and look at the chart, by the way. But this is the identity property. We did not changed the identity of B. And is it of multiplication or of addition? It's multiplication. Addition would be adding 0. Ooh, check the order. D times 5, 5 times D. Oh, wow, look, they changed it. They commuted them. So it's commutative. Property of multiplication. This one, look what happened. 0 times A equals 0. What is that? This would be the 0 property. I don't think I had that down. That is not there. Huh? Okay, well, guess what? There's another property. It's called the property of 0. 0 is like the great, like it's like a nuclear bomb. Okay? 0 zeros everything out. You can multiply 0 by anything and it knocks it down. You can have a billion, trillion, zillion, and you multiply it by 0 and you get 0. It's the 0 property of multiplication. All right. Take a look at this one. What happens? Let's check the order. 9 and 8, 9 and 8. Same order. What changed? Just the parentheses. Here, 9 and n were chilling together and they were having fun. Then I guess n was like, nah, man, I feel like going with 8 now. So n went over and hung out with 8. So they associated first. 9 and n were associating. Now n and 8 are associating. So associative property of addition, because look, there's a bunch of adding signs of addition. All right. And the last one is actually using distribution and real number addition. So combining like terms. So I'm just going to do this to remind you how. We're just going to distribute there. This is really dangerous. Whenever you see minus signs, you should hear like nuclear warning signs. Because you will screw up, because you will not pay attention to them. I know because I do that too. All right, so what I recommend you do, see this negative? That is going to be an issue for you. Most people remember to distribute to the first, but they forget to distribute to the second. I highly recommend you speak out loud when you do math. You say to yourself, 3W, okay, minus 5 times, now right there, that's going to screw you up because it's going to say minus 5 times this and 5 times that, and then you're going to lose that negative. So highly recommend you say, okay, plus negative 5, might even want to change it, okay, just so you know. This is going to be, and I'm going to write it down. Obviously, you guys don't need to do this if you know how to use the distributive property, okay, plus negative 5 times negative 7W. Don't lose the negative. This is one way as a trick to not lose the negative. Oh, by the way, I always think of these as like little rainbows. Okay, the 5 goes and visits the 3 and then the 7. All right, just make sure you don't forget to multiply that negative out. So you get 3W minus 15Z plus 35W minus 5Z. Most of you guys will be able to jump from here to here. If you are struggling, go back to this definition where subtraction is to add the opposite and work it through in pieces. The definition of distribution means that times that, that times that, okay? Combine like terms. All right, here we go. W goes with W. Z goes with, I don't want the same color, give me red. Z goes with Z. All right, and we've got 3W plus 35W. Notice the minus sign is attached to the one to the left, okay? That 3 is positive. That 35 is positive. So we get 38W, negative 15Z, and negative 5Z. Okay, again, it's a negative plus a negative, which means that it's going to be more negative, right? Minus 20Z. If you're thinking of it on a number line, it means you're starting at 0, you're going to negative 15, and then you're going negative 5 more. I usually go down. I like thinking that I'm at ground level, and I go in a hole, minus 15, and I go down -5, or I climb a tree if I'm going in the positive direction. Up to you. You should have a way to think of positive and negative numbers to help you remember without rules what to do. And that marks the end of the first video. Or the second video, rather. I don't know. Yeah, second video.